Yesterday came what I consider to be the great news that the Oscars are going back to having a host.
Hooray.
And again, don't get me wrong. The year after they had to, the year that they had to kind of pivot a little bit with the Kevin Hart thing and all that kind of stuff, they went no host. I got it. And you know what? It went off pretty well. That Oscars went off pretty well. But the Oscars to me need a host. It's that connective tissue. It becomes a thing we identify that year's Oscars by, right? And he or she becomes that person that kind of, that connective tissue that takes us through the show and gives that particular year's show its personality. And I like to see them get back to that. Now, we talked yesterday about the fact that Tom Holland, Spider-Man, has said he's interested in doing that. And we got confirmation from the Hollywood Reporter that the Academy has reached out to Tom Holland to discuss the possibilities with him. Normally, I don't think I'd be all that big on a Tom Holland hosting the Oscars, but this year, given the current circumstances, I think there's a lot of upside to it. Well, it may not just be Tom Holland, because according to a report going out there right now that you got to take with a grain of salt, but there's a report going out there right now that Pete Davidson is currently in discussions with the Academy to host the Oscars. Now, this is coming to us from the folks over at Joe Blow. They say, according to a report from Page 6, which is not always the most accurate, just to say that. But according to a report from Page 6, Pete Davidson is being considered by the network to host this year's ceremony, and his representatives are reportedly in talks with producers. Davidson is being sought after because they hope by having him, the show will reach a much desired younger audience. According to Page 6, he gets a demographic that is hard to get. He is in a good space, his career is doing well, and he is on the rise. Nothing inaccurate about that, to be honest with you. He's a sex symbol, unlikely, but he is big with a certain generation. And that's what's being reported here. Okay, look, I'm going to say this is something that needs to be taken with a grain of salt because it's coming from Page 6. However, everything that is said there does add up. It's the same kind of rationale about going for a Tom Holland. You want to reach a younger demographic. Pete Davidson certainly has that. He ain't the biggest star in the world, but you'd never know that by looking at his dating card. If you look at his dating card, you think he's the return of George frickin' Clooney in his early 40s. But, I mean, he is a big name. He's pretty funny. I myself would not be all that thrilled to see Pete Davidson hosting the Oscars, not because I don't like Pete Davidson. He's not really a movie guy. But John, he was in The King of Staten Island. Yeah, he was in a movie, but he's not a movie guy. I prefer having a movie person there, right? But, that's just me. I would prefer, if I had to choose between a Pete Davidson hosting the Oscars or a Tom Holland hosting the Oscars, I personally think it makes a lot more sense with Tom Holland hosting. Again, because not only is he the star of the biggest movie in the world right now, he's also the star of the movie that is the first movie to really bring people back to movie theaters in droves, and that's something to be celebrated. Everybody adores him. Like, whenever they announce a new Oscar host, and we knew this before Kevin Hart, but we really know it now with after Kevin Hart. Once they announce whoever it's going to be as an Oscar host, there are going to be people out there who dedicate their lives to digging through every single scrap of social media posting, whoever that person is has ever done, to try to come up with a gotcha moment, right?
Pete Davidson's not going to survive that.
No, and Pete Davidson will most likely not survive that vetting, per se. So, but Tom Holland is a guy who probably would. I mean, as much or as good as anybody, right? So I'm okay with this. I suppose if they announce Davidson, I'll be like, all right, well, at least they have a host. I don't think he's the guy, though. Not to say he couldn't do a good job. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, Manscaped. Now, look, guys, it's a brand new year. It's time to make some resolutions about taking care of ourselves, and that includes taking care of our balls. For too long, too many guys I know have been using like beard trimmers, or even worse, this part of the electric razor to take care of the area down there. It's barbaric. It's like trying to carve the statue of David using a dull butter knife. Thankfully, there is a solution for guys like you and me, and it's Manscaped. Manscaped is a company dedicated to giving us guys products to take care of the parts that we often forget to take care of properly. Now, I've been using the Performance Package 4.0. The package includes the backbone of their line, the Lawnmower 4.0. And listen, I love this thing. It's designed and built specifically for our ball area, giving the best and most comfortable results that I have personally, honestly, ever had. And you have to try to believe it. It also comes with the Weed Whacker. It's a specialized tool for, your nose and ear hair trimming that Ray Ora himself just recently used for a special event, and it worked better than his previous tools. And I gotta mention the body wash. I am not joking. I used the body wash for the first time about a week ago, and you can ask Kimberly, Ray, or Rob, or any of them. I came into the studio that day raving about how I haven't enjoyed taking a shower this much in a long time. The body wash is fantastic. Also included is the crop preserver. That's your ball deodorant, guys. Take care of yourselves down there. And also don't forget the crop reviver, which is a ball toner. So guys, get 20% off and free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Make sure you use that promo code Campea. It's the new year, guys. No pubes in 2022 with Manscaped. Rob, what do you think about the idea of maybe, number one, about returning to having a hosted format of the Oscars, number one, and number two, theoretically speaking, what would you think of a guy like Pete Davidson hosting?
Like you, Pete Davidson doesn't have, to me, the gravitas and the glitz and glamour that an Oscar host should have. I mean, if anything, he's the de-glamorized version. If they're going after someone like Tom Holland, I don't understand why the obvious answer to have the Oscar hosts should be Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, too.
I mean, Andrew Garfield's a song and dance guy. He's a theater guy. He's in Tick, Tick, Boom. He won the Golden Globe for Best Actor. Or, there's so many great, multiple hosts that you could have. I loved it when a guy like Hugh Jackman hosted. I don't know if that was the best show.
I loved Hugh Jackman hosting.
But because he's a song and dance man. Like when he steps out onto the stage, it's exciting and they can do musical numbers and he has a big smile on his face and he's charismatic.
And he's like Tom Hanks. He's beloved.
He's beloved.
Everybody loves him.
And the Oscars, everyone's now talking about the deconstruction of Hollywood patting itself on the back. But you know what? When I was a kid watching the Oscars, it was something to dream about, and it was exciting, and movies are supposed to be that. They're supposed to be larger than life and full of dreams, and let's bring that back. Let's not put them in a train station again and demystify everything and have everybody talk about the fact that, movies aren't that great. I hate that.
I'll tell you what, though. I will say this about Pete Davidson. Anne, for some reason... Well, Anne really likes the Jonas Brothers. she really likes Jonas. And there was a Jonas Brothers roast.
Oh, yeah.
And Pete Davidson kept popping out in the roast. I got to say, he was really funny.
No, he's really funny.
I have no doubt he could bring some laughs.
Yeah.
On that level. Kim, we talked at length about the Oscars and everything tomorrow. So we know what you and I think about it. But theoretically speaking, we got to take it with a grain of salt. But for the sake of the discussion... If they were to go and get a Pete Davidson, you okay with that? Do you think that could work? Do you think it's a mistake? What do you think?
You know what? I don't want to come down on him because you know what? I like him. I think he's really, really funny. I think he is very charismatic, but this is not an issue of are you good enough to host the Oscars? No, I think he's good enough. I think he's filled with talent. His life is going in a good direction. I feel like he's really growing as a person. He had some issues there, but I feel like he's in a healthy place, and I hope he is. However, right person for the right job, right? Just because you didn't get this job doesn't mean that we don't like you as a person. I don't think he's right for the Oscars at all.
If we're going to talk about who's right, there is only one answer. Because one of the big things they've been trying to do with the Oscars for the last number of years is also trying to shorten it up a bit. Ray Ora to host the Oscars. Yeah. He'd be like, hey, folks, listen, we've already been going 20 minutes. Next presenter, hurry. And
he'll cook for everyone.
And he'll cook for everybody. And if they do their acceptance speech after more than 15 seconds, you just say, Ray, come out. No, man. No, you're done. And just start pushing them off. That's
just give me all the cards, and I'll open them and just read the winners.
Just say La La Land, every winner. Your winner, La La Land. Oh. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What would you theoretically speak? Again, you got to take, because it's coming from page 6, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But theoretically speaking, what would you think about a Pete Davidson hosting the Oscars? It does check a number of boxes, going for younger demographic, all that kind of stuff. It could be problematic at the same time, too. Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.